So I'm just gonna start by prefacing and introducing your band. So Entheos is a technical and progressive deathcore / death metal band from Santa Cruz, California. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
by the way, okay.
we're from Santa Cruz. That's where we started the band. Navene's he grew up in Santa Cruz. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
But we live in Nashville now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
now we're a Tennessee, like a Nashville, Tennessee band.
Okay, yeah.
So that's
in 2021 we moved.
Yeah. So I'd say we're from everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only reason, because now I'm trying to rip Nashville. You know.
Okay. So where was I? You were formed in 2015.
Yeah.
Okay, Metal Archives, I was not lying. You have so far released 3 full lengths and 2 EPs, the latest being An End to Everything, which was published by Metal Blade Records last year in October. You are currently on tour with Born of Osiris, with Ingested and the Voynich Code. And we are here with Chaney Crabb, the vocalist of the band, and Navene Koperweis, I hope I'm not too butchering your name, who is the drummer and main songwriter of the band. My name is Nathan, and I am accompanied by Virgil, my drummer friend. So I'm gonna start right away. We are currently in Monthey, Switzerland, at the second to last show of the tour, which is a pretty stacked tour with Born of Osiris, as I said before. How have you been enjoying it so far? And which show was your favorite, if you had any?
The tour, it's been an amazing tour. Like this is our 3rd tour with Born of Osiris. We've known them for a really long time. I've been a huge Born of Osiris fan for like the last 17 years of my life, so touring with them has been amazing. This is our 3rd European tour, and this is our first one that hasn't hit like every major European city. So it's been really interesting and an interesting learning experience, I would say, because it went to like small Eastern European towns, and it didn't go to like Germany or the UK or, places like that. So it's been awesome, a learning experience, cool touring with our friends, and I don't know do you have anything to say? I don't know what my favorite show was so far.
We played a lot of places that tours usually never go to. We played Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Greece. Those are kind of more obscure for bands to go to, and they were just really, the people there were really, really cool and super appreciative of just some tours going through there.
Absolutely.
And those were actually the best, like my favorite shows.
Well, yours was definitely Bulgaria.
Yeah, we had a day off in Bulgaria. We had a day off in Bulgaria, and then we drove from there to Greece, and then back from Greece to Bulgaria to play the show, and it was a really small venue. I think it had to have been sold out, right? I mean, it was. If it wasn't sold out, it was completely
I think
full.
that was sold out. That was an amazing show.
Yeah.
Thinking back to that Bulgarian show. Yeah, I think that show was sold out.
And because we didn't know what to expect, because I don't know if I even know anybody who's played in those places.
I know you never hear about it, really.
So.
But it's cool to do that kind of stuff. And so Born of Osiris's tour manager, EJ Shannon, which people may have seen, he puts stickers in every single venue ever, so people see EJ Shannon stickers, but he really wanted to plan them a tour that went to places that people don't usually get to play. So it's kind of challenging in a way, because you never know how the shows are going to do, but I don't know, it's been amazing for us to be able to participate in that, because I don't think that without this tour we would ever get to play a lot of the places that we just got to. So now reflecting on, while it was happening, it was challenging, it was fun and really sweaty, because I wouldn't say that you guys prioritize air conditioning as much as we do in the States. But looking back on it, reflecting now, it's been like one of the most incredibly amazing and like biggest learning experiences of my life as a musician, I would say. So yeah.
Okay. And I must say it's quite impressive to have a tour, an international tour, stopping 2 times in Switzerland. Because we're such a small country, the bands usually stop at Aarau or Zurich.
Yeah. We always play Café, which we're playing tomorrow, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite venues in the entire world, personally. We have, actually, Café at KIF they have these postcards, like funny postcards that have pictures of cats and stuff on them. And every time we play there, which tomorrow will be our third time, Navene and I grab a couple of the postcards to take home and like hang up as art on our walls. And so yeah, we love that venue. But playing in a small mountain town reminds me of his hometown.
Okay.
And after playing 2 weeks of cities, I have to say, when we pulled up this morning to the venue and got out and saw mountains and a village and a small town, I wanted to cry because, as I was telling you on the car ride over, like playing in cities has just like for 2 weeks straight. I'm not a city person. I would never choose to live in a city. I'm a suburban person. Has like kind of made me just stir crazy and feel aggressive. And last night I was just losing it. So today I think was a breath of fresh air, I would say.
Yesterday, the loadout, like they just pulled the bus up to the venue, and then we had to immediately load everything out and load through a bike path. So we're like looking around, people on bikes are going by.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So yeah, today it's refreshing to just be in a mountain town when you just load straight in and super easy.
And yesterday our backstage was literally this big.
For all the bands?
For every
okay.
one backstage,
And just
this big, this square, like people can't see.
Hot
but
and
this
moist
is-
and sweaty.
And with a
yeah.
shower in it and a bathroom in it. And you can imagine with 20.
Yeah, and it's in the south of France too, so it's very hot. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
27 men and barely air conditioning. How disgusting that would be for me, personally.
But the shows have been amazing.
Yeah, they've been
great.
incredible.
So
Incredible.
yeah, we
Incredible
don't
shows.
we don't mind. We'll
No
tough it
complaint
out.
we ever make will be about shows. It'll always be about like the humidity.
The venue,
Yeah,
the venue
exactly,
itself, or
exactly.
the catering. And,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, that's tough.
So going back to touring again, what's your favorite food to eat on tour? Do you usually have a favorite one that you go back to, or do you try tasting local cuisine or something like that?
What's yours? I don't know.
I'd say in Europe, like going to the kebab places, shops is very popular.
Dude, we
Yeah.
all like we don't have that in the States, really. You know, well, actually in Nashville there are a couple of like Euro spots, but
It's not as popular.
and it's not usually as authentic or like fresh. Like you'll find a fresh pita here with it's that's our favorite.
Yeah, yesterday we went to a Tunisian restaurant.
I didn't go. Yesterday I ate KFC for the record.
Yeah, Chaney had some American KFC food. That's a fun one. When you see an American restaurant, you're like, oh my God, they have a whatever Taco Bell here. But no, yesterday they did the catering at a Tunisian restaurant. I've never even heard of that kind of food, and it was really really good. Yeah,
For
it was-
instance, okay, one of them.
we were looking at the menu and we were like, it was in French because we were in Toulouse. So not only was it in French, but it was a different type of food. So it was like double hard to understand. And everybody was just like, "What is this food?" Like, and I just looked at the menu and I just was
just
like, "Give me that. I'll try that." And it was really good. It was like this veggie kind of like like chopped up veggies and like a sauce.
Okay.
Tagine.
Yeah, tagine maybe.
I don't know.
Does it ring a bell? No.
Yeah, tagine. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah,
and then it
it's,
had like an egg on top and had pita bread and.
Oh, that sounds really good.
It was actually
I
you
should
would have
have
loved
gotten that,
it. It was
yeah.
really good.
You know what's funny is that we were looking at the menu for that Tunisian place, and one of the menu items was like fruit spaghetti,
It said spaghetti
and it
with
was
fruit.
actually oysters. You know?
yeah.
To me, I'm like, damn, am I gonna get like a fruit, grape and watermelon?
Fruit de mer.
Yeah, is that what it's called in French?
Yeah, I don't know why we call them that, but it's fruit de mer, so fruit.
It
from
looked like
the
it said
sea.
fruit.
Yeah,
Sea
that's
fruits.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
that's
when-
it. that means seafood. Is that
Seafood,
what-
actually,
okay.
yeah, that's it.
All of the Americans were like,
We're like
fruit spaghetti.
And then even when you tried to translate it using like a Google Translate, it didn't. It made even less sense. It was like chicken brick or something. We're like, what is that? Like,
What?
That's hilarious. But I
Okay.
didn't even see what you ate. I should have gotten that.
it
That
was
sounds
really good. It was really good. I just actually said like, can I have something without meat? And that's what they made me.
I just
Yeah.
personally wanted some chicken tendies, so
It would have been quite funny if it was, pasta with pineapple
Yeah,
in
I
it.
know.
we were thinking, oh, maybe it's a dessert thing, but
But
so
no.
that was kind of confusing. But yeah, it's really fun to try different types of food. What did we have in Bulgaria?
Oh, we ate pizza. We got a pizza spot that day, remember? Because we had a day off in Bulgaria.
Yeah, okay. And then a lot of the times the venue will just order some food, but it might not be the type of food that the country
lot of the
offers.
time it's
You know?
Asian.
Yeah.
A lot of the time
we've
it's Asian
had-
because
they-
Asian is really easy to get like vegan and vegetarian options, which both of us mostly eat vegetarian.
So I've had
That does make
like in
sense.
Czech Republic they had pad thai.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get the authentic food there. But yeah, eating on tour is obviously really fun. And it's a big part of tour.
We love eating and drinking. That's kind of
Yeah, and then like every day the venue kind of has the same type of like bread and cheese and meats and things like that, coffee. And then sometimes we'll go get a dessert or something like that, you know, because Europe has a lot of good pastry shops and whatnot.
Oh, excellent.
We can do a whole podcast about food.
Yeah,
Now
I
we're-
see.
now I
That's
think we're going
amazing.
to. I don't know if anyone can tell that we have a podcast, and that's why we're able to talk so fucking much.
Rant.
You have you do have a podcast
Yeah,
actually.
we're good at talking. I would say. That's right.
Oh,
So we're good at
improvising,
back and
talking.
forth for hours and hours.
Well, that's actually amazing for us.
You can just give us a little question. We can just go for it.
Oh yeah, that's
Bye.
great. But
Especially if we have coffee.
We actually have a lot of questions.
All right, let's
because
You're not gonna get through all
but,
those.
Let's go to your pace. I do have a question about your last EP, An End to Everything. What is the response of the audience and the fans in general with that EP? And Bistro being actually the first one or one of the first live occasion to play those new songs.
I would say that it's the best response that we've had to material that we've written ever. Except, there's more singing. I would say that we've compacted our song structures a lot, which was a huge goal of both of us in writing that EP. It was the first time that we've ever worked with fully with a producer in their studio, which is Mark Lewis, who is a really, really close friend of ours. And yeah, I think that our goal was to make the best songs that we've written, and I think that that's how they've gone over with people, to be honest with you. Just seeing the response of the audience. Like, I pay attention to if people know lyrics. I'm looking at the fucking crowd the entire, it's like I'm the vocalist. I have to look at the crowd the entire time. I'm not looking at an instrument or anything. And specifically the song An End to Everything, I think, is probably the song of Entheos at this point. I see so many people in the crowd singing along to that song. We've made videos, I make vocal videos that I'll put on Instagram or YouTube, and we make videos, and those have gone the most viral, if you will.
Yeah, in a sense.
So I think that the goal was achieved, and now we're working on a new record right now, so right when I get home, it's instrumentally, it's almost done. Right when
The drums and guitars are actually recorded already.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
So right when I get home, I start recording.
All the vocals, yeah.
So now, knowing what I know now, performing these songs, it's like, the other day I was like, we better have a goddamn an end to everything on that record, otherwise we're screwed.
I wouldn't say screwed, but now there might be some expectancy from the audience to have this kind of chorus.
Yeah, chorus.
Yeah.
Which you can sing along.
Yeah.
Precisely, which there are a lot.
Yeah, people know, like she said, it's even on this tour, even when we played in like Romania and Bulgaria, there's always a couple people who know the words to End to Everything.
Yeah, I know that
so-
song. And An End to Everything, and we have a song that has a lot of singing in it called I Am the Void, that's from our last album, Time Will Take Us All, that people seem to know the words to those two songs specifically, so we pay attention, and it's cool to have that because we've been a band for so long that people haven't known the words to our songs because we've been a weird progressive band, you know. It's like, and it's you're wearing an Archspire shirt, so it's very hard to. Oh, you were there. Okay, so it's very hard to learn all these lyrics because he's so fast, and the verbiage he uses is so scientific and complicated. So it's nice to be that band. It's nice to be the band that has something you can sing along to now, you know.
That's kind of we wanted that for a while. So
and now we're pushing.
and to make something that is both a little more catchy and simple, but we actually still like it. You know, we're not just making something catchy so people will like it.
Yeah, no. Navene and I are both very we stay very true to ourselves, and if I'm being completely honest, I don't listen to technical death. Like I did when I was younger, for sure, but now, like, when I'm putting on music, that's not at all what I listen to. The most prog band that I listen to all the time is Cynic.
Okay.
So, you know, Cynic you can sing along to.
True.
And I like catchy things, and that's like what I want to do as a vocalist is write songs that people can resonate with, and like lyrically and vocally, and sing along to, and it's nice to do that.
Which is, actually it's much more difficult with just your latest album, which is very proggy in its construction, very technical.
Yeah.
I get the idea. So when you were planning for this EP, it was very clear for both of you to go on a more, I'm going to use a bad word, but pop attitude with structure much more simpler and choruses which you can sing along. It was intended in this way?
Yeah. For me, we write albums and then we go on tour and then play the songs live. And then you kind of get like the feeling from the audience and just playing the songs. I always think like, what's missing from the set? And then for us, it was really like, you know what? We just need a couple of like standout, simple songs that will carry over live, if it's in a big venue or a small one. Because we've done a couple of tours, we've got to open a couple of bigger tours in the States, and some of the really technical stuff, it just doesn't really come across well in a bigger venue. So I really wanted to have songs that were just kind of what we do, but a little more condensed and a little more just easy to understand if it's your first time seeing us, or if you just play a more simple riff in a bigger room. Just like the actual mechanics of notes flying around in a big room, you're not going to be able to hear it. Whereas if you have a more simple riff, you can actually tell what's going on.
Yeah.
We also had the amazing opportunity to have our bass player, who doesn't play live with us because he has a child, but the person who plays on all of our records, Evan Brewer, we both live in Nashville. He came to the last Nashville show that we played, and it was in a big venue. Like maybe, I would say 3,000 cap or something. It's a big venue, but Evan got to watch our set. And after the show, he was like, yeah, it was cool. It was amazing, but the songs that went over it was kind of like the Navene and Chaney show, because the guitars, the songs that went over the best live are the ones that have very not complicated guitars in them. He was like, the rest of it you can't really even, it's hard to hear that stuff live in that kind of situation. So I think that was a good experience for us, just hearing what Evan had to say about seeing us in a live environment and how those songs went over, and it was impactful to me.
But yeah, I always just try to find what's missing from the set. You know?
Okay.
Maybe one day it'll be like, we don't have enough technical stuff, and then
and you go back to.
It's just I'm always playing and thinking about like what's missing here.
And I'm always trying to get him to slow stuff down. So.
Yeah. It's a good balance.
That's amazing. I have a question to go back a bit in time, if you will, about the genesis of the band. So the question is very simple. It's actually, how did the band come to be? And how did you two meet and wanted to start the band?
Yeah. So we met because Chaney's band opened up for the band that I was playing with, Animals as Leaders. and we played in Des Moines, Iowa, where Chaney's from, and her band opened the show, and so that's how we met.
Oh.
And then we became friends, and then we, got together, and she moved to California, and we had been together for probably already 4 or 5 years.
2015, so
And then
we'd been together for 4 years when we started the band.
And then I had been doing stuff on my own, kind of like solo drumming and making electronic music and stuff, and I was kind of missing being in a band. And then Chaney had this video. She did an audition for Veil of Maya. And
Which ironically, the show that we met at, Animals, was opening for Veil of Maya. So I auditioned for Veil of Maya.
She auditioned for it, and the video kind of like took off a little bit. And then I was like, man, maybe I should just start a band with Chaney. I just hadn't really thought of it. And
Navene's mom, for the record though, for years was like, she's Southern, so this is my impression of her. If she ever sees this, but she's like, Navene, can't you just write one song for Chaney to sing?
And then it was kind of like she was talking to Veil of Maya like they were maybe going to get her, and so I was like kind of getting jealous. I was like, oh, I'm not having. I'll just start a band with her, if, instead of her joining another band. And then
possessive husband.
Yeah. So
I'm just kidding.
So then it just so happened that the guitar player from my old band Animosity, we had been talking about making some music, and so I just said to him, well, we could make some metal again together, and Chaney can do vocals. And then we told Evan Brewer about it, who was my friend, and he was in the band Animosity as well. And he just said, yeah, I'm into it, I want to do it.
And he had just quit the Faceless.
Yeah, he had just left the Faceless, so that's how we started. And I think we started the band, we had our first writing session in January of 2015.
It was actually December of 2014.
Okay, so December, end of 2014, and then the EP came out in March. So it was like a really short amount of time. And then we started playing shows, and
but we didn't expect to do that, for the record.
At first we were like, yeah, let's do an EP.
We were just trying to be like a fun, old people, just trying to chill and not have normal lives and not ever tour. We didn't think we'd ever tour or sign to a label or anyone would care. Or, we thought we were going to put out an EP just kind of for fun. Okay. So the fact that the band took off and started touring and got signed immediately and got management immediately was a bit of a surprise, and took both of our lives in a much different direction than I think we were planning on at that point.
But I think it's been weird because we've had to figure out what we want the band to be, in front of everybody, because usually you are a known, nobody knows who you are for the first 5 years or so, but right away we already had not that we were massive or anything, but people were checking out the EP. The EP did pretty good.
The EP actually was, I want to brag for a second, because the EP debuted at #1 over Plenty, the instrumental project. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but put out an album, I can't remember the name of it, but the same day that we put out our EP, and our EP debuted at #1 on Bandcamp over his album.
It was #1 on the whole of Bandcamp.
It was
one of the coolest things that's ever happened to the band.
Yeah,
it was literally #1. First it was #1 in death metal, and then it was #1 in metal, and then it was just #1 on Bandcamp for a day or two.
But that's amazing. That honestly was a lot of pressure from the beginning, because I feel like right now, bands come out and they already know about marketing. They already know what their genre is. They already know what they want. They have it all down. We weren't doing that. We were just operating like a high school band almost, because we didn't know exactly what genre of band we wanted to be. We didn't know. We didn't have it all. Yeah, the image. We didn't have it nailed down like a lot of young bands will do now, which has been both a blessing and a curse for us, I think. But yeah, that's how the band started.
And then it took some time. Just went through a lot of different members and iterations.
Until we were
here we are now, yeah.
Until we became tyrants and we decided to make the band
take over
our own. it's about Navene and Chaney now. No, but that's not true. But you know, it's it's just gone through many iterations before it became what it is now. And it's ever evolving, our band, I would say.
So talking about that, I want to speak to you about your influences. So we've talked about Animosity, you've been in Animals as leaders, and you've also played in session for other bands like Job for a Cowboy, Machine Head, Whitechapel, etc., etc. So do you think these experiences... Sorry?
I said this guy knows his shit.
I'm a nerd. Have these experiences influenced your way to approach music, to write music in any way?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think when we first started, we did, like Chaney was saying, we didn't really know exactly what direction we wanted to go in. Like, it was kind of all over the place. Like, it sounded a little bit like Animosity, and then there was still kind of some Animals as leaders type drumming in there, and we were...
There was Evan Brewer's solo stuff.
Yeah, we were kind of being...
It was
just
hard for
doing
me, honestly,
everything.
because these guys were all doing instrumental stuff right before, and I was like, there were times when I would have like literal, because Navene was tracking me for a long time. There are times when I would have literal mental breakdowns with him, like, I don't know how you guys expect me to like be a vocalist over this stuff, because this is a lot of it, you know, it was written almost with an instrumental sensibility. But I think the Whitechapel session that you did with Mark Lewis, I think, influenced us the most in the direction that we're in now.
I think, flying out and I stayed with them for 10 days and worked on the drums for the Whitechapel album, and that was kind of like a huge turning point for the band, because they kind of had a more vision of opening stuff up a little bit more for the vocals to have room to be like the main focus, and just kind of dialing it in to be like a complete whole. And then so I think when I came back from that session, I was kind of like, Chaney, we need to work with Mark, we need to like dial everything in, you know, think about the vocals. But we already had Time Will Take Us All was already half written.
Yeah, and
so we were like, let's just, you know, make this will kind of be like the progressive crazy album that we'll have. And then from there, when we really started dialing things in more, and we did on Time Will Take Us All. I think we did. You know, we did.
I'm the Void is
we have I'm the Void, and
the most dialed in song that we have, I would say, still.
And then, but since then, I think it's been definitely a big change for us.
Absolutely.
Because of Whitechapel, 100%.
Thank you, Whitechapel. That's when it became the Chaney show.
Amazing.
Yeah, because I'd like, you know, for example, the drums were recorded last, and so I would do a fill or something, and then Mark, the engineer, would be like, hey, is that, like, that's a cool fill, well, let me see if it works with the vocals, you know, and then...
Let me see if it works with Phil. That's a cool fill, but let me see if it works with Phil.
And then sometimes it wouldn't, and I think since it wasn't my band, I was a lot more open to follow what he wanted me to do.
Because Navene will, do you guys know what gospel chops are? Like, gospel chops, right?
Those jazz hands do the
Navene
whole
will
thing.
jazz hands the fuck out of a record. And that's cool. If you want your record to be a crazy drumming record, a record that focuses on drumming, but...
Well, I mean, we still do that, but now we just have the right places for it.
Yeah, it's too
Instead of just going for it the whole time, we have, like, it's more structured, you know? Because I still definitely do all that stuff. I just do it in a spot that it calls for it. You know?
So quickly, because we've already taken a lot of time, what are, Chaney, your main influences vocally and lyrically?
Yes.
And you, Navene, what are your influences musically as far as songwriting goes?
All right, I'll just throw out influences I think off the top of my head. Stevie Nicks, Anthony Green, Jacob Bannon, Chelsea Wolfe, Marissa Nadler, Emma Ruth Rundle, dude from the ocean, I don't know his name. I think it's a Lou, maybe? Off the top of my head, I listen to doomy, stoner, sad stuff that you want to cry to, and those are my lyrical. And
but the metal influences are from younger stuff.
Okay, metal influences are Alex Arian, Despised Icon, Johnny Davey, Job for a Cowboy, Phil Bozeman, Whitechapel, Corpse Grinder.
Randy Blythe.
Randy Blythe is probably my first vocal influence, and Karen Crisis.
Yeah, for me, I think the more metal stuff would be when I was younger, Dying Fetus, Origin,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Decrepit Birth, all the super metal, death metal stuff, and then
Paul Masvidal.
yeah, and then like Frederick Thorndahl, Meshuggah, everything like that, and then the Faceless is more progressive stuff that I was into, and then over time I'd say, like we talked about, the Whitechapel thing was really eye-opening, and just more simpler metal bands, I guess.
I would also say one of both of our biggest influences is Frederick Thorndahl from Meshuggah's solo project, Special Defects album, Soul Niger Within. We're both highly influenced by that. I think you can hear it, specifically in our song, The Sinking Sun, which we'll play tonight. You can hear it very well.
But it's a journey. So
Gotta keep it short, baby.
I'll keep it there. Actually, when I was 10,
My dad.
I'm surprised you didn't say AC/DC in your influences.
I hate AC/DC.
Oh, all right.
Thank you. Cheers to that.
absolutely terrible.
But also, I listen to a ton of classic rock, so it's like Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
Fleetwood Mac.
That was Stevie Nicks was the first person I named, but that type, Steely Dan. I listen to
Yacht Rock.
yacht rock.
I'm a big fan of Steely Dan, actually.
Asia is one of my favorite records of all time.
Classic.
Yeah, best production as well.
Oh yeah, sounds amazing. I'm getting carried away. Sorry. Continuing with the influences, how is the writing process for Entheos? Do you try to jam, brainstorm together? You have some ideas, seeing you, or is it more one comes with the ideas? Maybe you, Navene, and everyone just get on it, or what is the process?
It's changed over the years.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it first started off, me and the guitar player Frank would write everything kind of together. So he could write a bunch of parts and I would write them, and we'd kind of blend them together and work on the songs that way. And then for the album Dark Future, we kind of all wrote it together. Mm-hmm. Like we literally just hung out for a couple weeks and wrote it together in a room. Time Will Take Us All, that's just something I just sat at my computer and just wrote the whole thing straight.
Which I advocated for years, because Navene has a solo project with Johnny Davey from Job for a Cowboy called Flesh Rot. The day we met, I think that a part of why he fell in love with me was because I was like, he came up to me and we started talking, but I was like, yeah, I know who you are. He introduced himself and I'm like, I know exactly who you are. I'm a huge Flesh Rot fan. So
Wow.
I advocated for years for him to write a majority of our music, and then it became that. And since Time Will Take Us All, Navene will write a lot of things, and then he's got a studio, I've got a studio separately in our house. We have like two wings of our house, and I'll kind of come in and tell him and Mark, he writes with Mark sometimes now too, and I'll be like, yeah, this is cool, but I need more room for chorus, more room to do catchy shit, so we kind of do that now. Like it's more of a produced process now, I would say.
Or Chaney will just kind of help with the vibe. Like if
I'm
she might want to change some of the notes. Rick Rubin.
I'm
she's
the
Rick Rubin.
Of our band, I would say. I'm like, no, this feels a little purple to me. I want it to feel more red. Like this feels a little like.
It's really hard to know what she's talking about. I'm just like, I don't know.
Navene is the only person who can, like, I can tell him something. We'll be in the studio with me and Mark and Navene, and I can tell Navene something and be like, babe, like, this is what I mean, and he can translate that for me. So I'm Rick Rubin, and I don't know who Rick Rubin's assistant is, but that's who Navene is for me.
Yeah,
so.
And then we wrote one song on the new album with the people who are playing guitar with us now, Scott and Michael.
Yeah.
And it went really well. We've really enjoyed touring together for the last couple tours, and then at the end of the tour, we thought, hey, let's just write a song together and see how it goes. And it went really well. So we're gonna do more of that.
Well,
That might be it.
Maybe we'll get interrupted with music. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Speaking of the Scott and Michael, one of them is now a full-time guitarist in the band. Is that correct?
We want both of them to be.
We want both
So
of
you
them.
want them both?
I believe. I don't know what we can really say on this camera, but
So do you
I
think
believe
it
both
will-
of them will become.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you think it will change the way you compose, not just you, but trying to be more inclusive
Yeah,
with the
100%.
guitarists?
Million percent. We already, like you said, we already wrote a song.
Actually,
with both of them.
Yeah, we did the one song, and I think we had Scott do some like leads and stuff on the album, and we're gonna get Stancil to come do a few things. But yeah, the new album is mainly me. I wrote it all. I had already written it. I've been writing it for like a year, and then. But yeah, I think it's really hard for us to find people who get what we're going for. You know, it's a very delicate thing.
But Michael Stancil is, I would say, like, if Navene is my soulmate and my best friend is a soulmate of mine, then Michael Stancil, I would say, is a musical soulmate of mine.
Yeah.
Like, we just get each other. Every band that Michael listens to, I listen to. Every band that I listen to, Michael listens to. I can't bring something up to him that he doesn't already like, you know? So, and then Scott also, like, Scott and Michael are the first two musicians other than Navene and Evan who I've ever played with, who it's just like, it's just there. You know, you can't explain that. You can't make that up. You can't just get people to do that. So it's like magic, I would say, with the four of us. And the song that they wrote with us, I'm like, just like amazed with. So I can't wait to write more stuff with them.
Yeah, I think they complement Chaney and I really well. So
Yeah, they
it's
do.
a really good fit. So we're trying to make it happen.
I still have one question about composition,
Yeah.
which is more focused on you, Navene, because you're a multi-instrumentist, and it's kind of a personal question too. But how do you approach music in that sense? Do you think mostly of the drums first, and then maybe guitars, or you have some riffs first? Or
Yeah, no, it's always guitar first.
Oh, okay.
And I mainly just write through experimenting. So just sit with a guitar, and then that sounds pretty cool. And then
There you
that
go.
will spark the whole song pretty much. Have a few parts, and then you just kind of step back and you figure out what's missing from the song and then fill it in. So that's pretty much how it always starts. There'll be a few good riffs, and then I'll make a chorus or make a whatever. Oh, this song needs a lead section, and I'll make up a lead section. Or, but yeah, I think songs are starting to write themselves. I think we kind of have our more thing down, like just what we want to do. It's becoming a little easier.
I have a next question for you, Chaney, more specifically. What is it like to be a woman in the predominantly male domain of extreme metal, especially technical and progressive metal? And also, which would be a follow-up question, what would you say to young musicians, especially young women, that would like to involve themselves in this domain of extreme metal?
What I would say is that I've always been a woman, so I don't know like the difference between what it's like to be a man and a woman. You know, I only have my experience. So what it's like to be a woman, I don't know. It's just like to me, it's the same as everyone else, except that I feel often with my male counterparts that maybe I'm a little more, I want things to be a little more like, for instance, if we're in the green room that I was talking about yesterday, they'll all throw their stuff everywhere, and I'm going through like trying to clean up the trash, and you know, I'm a little more, I would say, like I need things to be kind of less frantic around me, like clean and stuff, you know. But I don't know that it's that different. I think that maybe I'm a little probably more emotional while they're a little more stoic, and you know, it's just simple things like that. But what I would say to my like young women is that you should just like pursue this. It shouldn't be a scary thing where you're thinking too much about it, because I never, when I was a young woman, I never thought about like the difference between what it would be like being a girl playing. Like I never considered that until people started bringing it up to me. So like as a young vocalist, I was just a young vocalist. I was just a person who was trying to do the same thing as all of my friends. I've been friends with mostly men for, a lot of my life, and my best friend is a man. And I don't think that you should consider those things too much. And I hope that because of the internet, I'm 36 years old. So when I started doing vocals, it wasn't like you couldn't read on Reddit what it was like to be a female vocalist or whatever. So I just hope that young women don't consider all of that stuff too much, and they just do something they're passionate about and don't let themselves be stopped by, well, it's like this to be a female.
Or it should be like that, or it should not be like that.
Because I never gave a fuck until someone else asked me. I've been asked many times since I became a vocalist 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, what it's like to be a woman in metal, and I never ever even thought about being a woman in metal. I just always thought about being a metalhead and a person in metal, so...
Yeah.
Was there a question for you?
No, the question was actually
baby.
for you. Yes. Sorry for not being original with this one, but it was a real curiosity.
No, I don't think, for the record, I don't think that's not original. I think it's something that is important to be addressed because there are very few women who do it, and I think it can be scary and daunting if you don't have like that mindset that I had. So just don't consider it. Yes, when you get on tour, there are things that are different between men and women. We all know this, but it's like, luckily, I tour with compassionate men who are empathetic to me being the woman on tour, and they understand. And, the two, Scott and Navene is married to me. Scott is married. It is nice when you're around men who hang out, who they're around women a lot. They've learned to be compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic to women. So they're kind and they look out for me, and they, make me feel secure in the position that I'm in, luckily. So
that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
But it's also good to have some examples like you in the metal community, because in a sense, even though it might not be what you want to be, just an effigy or something like that, it kind of does. Like, women can see you, hear you sing, see you on stage, be like, why not me? Because I like that.
It's definitely inspiring.
Well, thank you. That's amazing to hear. Because I do sometimes think about that. Like, if I was, because, I was, even though I say that I never thought about it, like, the people I was most inspired by when I was a kid were seeing women in bands. So, seeing people like Laura Nickel from like this city, like OTEP, like Angela Gossow, Christina Scabia from Lacuna Coil, Karen Crisis. That did help, even though I don't know that I realized it then, because I don't think I was thinking about it. I think that helped make me secure in the position that I was assuming as a woman in metal.
I have one last question, which is actually related to modern society's internet. What do you think about the fame you can get on the internet? You were talking about the Bandcamp best band of all time for a day or maybe two. You had some success also with your cover of Veil of Maya. Do you think, is it useful in a sense, or is it mostly just vain because it's 1-2 days, then you disappear forever? What is your opinion, both of you?
I think that the internet can change your band's life. It's beyond this stuff. I don't want to name drop really, but, well, I actually kind of do. But, so I've also put up like some, like I said, An End to Everything is our most viral video. And because of that, Drake, like the rapper Drake, has shared my videos. And I was on a guy named Kai Cenat's Twitch stream, who is the biggest Twitch streamer in the entire world. I was on his Twitch stream. And those things, those like specific things have changed the course of history for our band. Like, they've made our band, made people care more about our band. And Yeah, it is a vain thing for sure. There are vain aspects of the internet, but there are also aspects of the internet that can help you become a musician who, like, this can become a viable career for you. So I think I was just, honestly, last night I was trying to talk Ronnie from Born of Osiris, who is one of my favorite vocalists of all time, into doing vocal videos, because I was like, dude, look at me, like, take what I have done with my Instagram and that stuff as an example. Like, people can hear about you because of this stuff. We're a little older, so we think it's a little cringy, you know, and we're not like we're not Zoomers, so we're not like all on TikTok all the time. And I think that our era, for me, it was very hard to talk me into doing these the vocal videos originally, but it has become so instrumental in our band's, like, any small success that we've had whatsoever, like, that has helped so much. So I would say for anyone out there, get on the internet, because the internet can change the course of your life, your career, if people are talking about you. And even though I think that Navene and I, neither of us are people who do things for, like, viral. We don't talk about, like, Spotify numbers and all of that stuff a lot. We talk about art and if we're doing things that we love, but, like, the internet can just be so helpful in helping you.
There's no reason not to do it. It's one. I don't think it's everything, but it's part of what you can do. The bigger picture. And then indirectly it helps. So she had a video that did really well, and then the person who manages Kai Cenat's streams saw it, and that's how they asked her to do that. So you don't really know who's going to see your video or whatever. So it might not just be the main audience, but there's another kind of outer layer that can help. So it definitely doesn't hurt. And what else can you do if you live in, like, a super small town?
I will say, when we're in America, especially now, I will literally get stopped on the street by random people.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes several times a day.
Oh, wow.
Because of the viral success of these videos. So, I don't know.
Like, the other day we were at a bar and we were just sitting at a table, and a guy came up, and there was some, like, used cups on the table, and I was like, oh, is this your table? Are you sitting here? And he was like, no, I want to get a picture with her. And just, you know, he didn't like look like he was metal at all. Just some random guy. You know? Okay. So it definitely helps. And when we go on tour, she can post, we're going on tour, and tons of people see the tour dates, and maybe it's only like a small fraction of people who come, but still, it's somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, so last 3 questions. I'm gonna go pretty quick.
We'll go quick, I promise.
They should be pretty short. As I said before, I saw you in March 2023 with Archspire, which was quite frankly an insane lineup.
Yeah.
So now that you're gaining a lot of attraction, just as we said, in the prog and tech death and even general metal scene, which bands would you like to bring out on a headlining tour, whether it be smaller upcoming bands or already established classics of the scene?
We'll tell you this because we're announcing our first headlining tour in America in I think probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. We're announcing it for the end of the year, and we're literally taking out a lineup that I never thought would open for us. So, and it's a dream lineup. So it's us with Fallujah as direct support. The Zenith Passage is second on the lineup, and then an upcoming band called Tracheotomy. Like a young deathcore awesome band is opening. So
sick.
We're taking out a lineup that I literally never thought would open for us. So I would say that's a fucking dream lineup for me. So
nice.
And yeah. We get to take out our homies. Like, we've known these bands forever. Scott, who's in Fallujah, is literally our lead guitar player right now. So yeah, it's a crazy dream, I would say.
What's next for Entheos? I mean, you've just talked about the tour, so I don't have to ask you that.
Yeah.
We've also talked a bit about the album. Can you tell us a bit more details without going too much into what you can't say?
Yeah, we're tracking the album when we get home. I'm assuming that the album will come out in early 2026 on Metal Blade. We're definitely going to put out a song before the tour. we're just, I don't know, we're working on that stuff all summer, and frankly, I want to go on vacation this summer. So after all of this writing and the EP last year, it's been pretty fucking nonstop for us. So I'm trying to go on. That's what's next for Entheos, is a nice vacation to the Appalachian Mountains with solitude for Navene and I, and watching television shows next week with our cats and ordering some pizzas. But yeah, an album for sure, and the headlining tour, and then we'll do tours next year.
And now to finish the interview, I'm going to ask you 3 rapid-fire questions.
Okay, you go first.
Okay. What's an essential Entheos track or release that you'd recommend to someone who's willing to dive into the band's music?
I would say, if you're into tech metal, The Sinking Sun, and if you want to hear more of our mainstream sound, and into everything.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna say definitely an end to everything, and I Am the Void, but an old school favorite of mine is called The World Without Us, which is off of Dark Future, which was my favorite song. I'll go back and listen to that song, and I'm still like, I can't fucking believe I wrote the lyrics to this song. So,
Okay.
Love it.
Second one, what's one musical hot take that you have?
Musical hot take. I don't give a fuck about vocal technique and vocal. I don't care about if you can do high and low and all of these vocals, and if you do it if you can do it what's the word,
vocal
if you look
gymnastics?
calm. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about vocal gymnastics. That's my hot take.
My hot take, I'm gonna have a similar hot take. I am just completely tired of fake drums on every metal band's recording.
And fake
every
production.
band, every band.
We hate fake production.
Their drums they lie, and they're just so fake. They try to minimize how produced it is, but it's to a point where you might as well just have programmed drums, and I'm completely tired of it.
And the stuff that sounds like programmed Guitar Pro guitars. Hate it. Hate it.
Our new album is
It's original. It's all raw. Very raw. I'll just hold it closer to my mouth. That probably sounds distorted. Sorry. That's the producer in him, where he's like, that's just gonna sound distorted.
And last one,
Yeah.
what's your top 3 death metal records of all time?
Top three death metal records of all time. Destroy the Opposition.
Yeah. You want to do yours?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Destroy the Opposition, None So Vile, and Decrepit Birth, and Time Begins.
Okay. Destroy the Opposition, The Ills of Modern Man by Despised Icon, and I'm just gonna call Lamb of God death metal for this, and is it Ruin? Is Ruin the name of that record? I can't remember. That's my...
Well, thank you very much, and see you tonight.
I think it's time to leave.
Oh, wait.
It's As the Palaces Burn.
There we go. Well, thank you very much.